Mr. Scott Smith is the Vice President, Global Business Development of Matific. And I think you come with a guest. You come with a guest, but later. Thank you. Matific, please explain to us better than me what is Matific and what you do. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Greetings to all the honorable ministers and distinguished guests. I'm here today to talk with you about what I'm sure was your most favorite subject when you were in school, mathematics, right? Okay, I usually get that reaction. Some of you are like, yes, I love mathematics, but many of us are no. Okay, so this is a very important topic, and I'm very excited to be here to share some thoughts with you about this. So what we need is, we need more students who are going on to be engineers, programmers, architects, scientists, statisticians, many of these types of fields. You can read many reports about this. And it doesn't matter what part of the world that you're in. For the most part, what we're finding is that out of a classroom of students, we only have a couple students, maybe one, who actually ultimately goes on and pursues one of these types of careers. What's the barrier? Almost always, it's mathematics. Mathematics is the brick wall. It's the barrier that's keeping students from going on and pursuing those fields. Because when you talk to young people, many times when they're very young, they say, I want to be a scientist, I want to be a doctor, I want to go on and be a builder or a programmer or something. Well, what happens? What happens along the way? Somewhere along the way, all of a sudden they chose to go in a different direction. And it's usually this barrier of mathematics is what's keeping them from that. So earlier in some of the presentations, we've been referencing the World Economic Forum, and I just wanted to pull this quote up, which I thought was relevant to what we're talking about here today. To build a pipeline of future skills, Africa's educators should design future-ready curricula that encourage critical thinking, creativity, and emotional intelligence, as well as accelerate the acquisition of digital and STEM skills, and to help them get ready for the fourth industrial revolution. I mean, we've heard this kind of repeatedly throughout the talks today. And so this is one of the things that's really important when all of you are making policy decisions and where you're investing your resources, that you take this into account. Now, in our time at our company of meeting with many governments around the world, almost always we find nowadays that there are STEM initiatives. There's policies and strategic goals around building up the STEM capacity within your countries, which is fantastic, and applaud all of that. When we're having meetings with the ministers and deputy ministers and other stakeholders at the ministry, and we ask, so tell us about this STEM initiatives. Where are you investing your resources? What exactly are you putting towards it? Many times we hear we're building new science labs, we put in coding boot camps, coding labs, which is all great. We're making lots of these investments, investing in engineering type projects, robotics, all of those areas. One of the common themes in most cases is that one topic that almost never comes up is the M in STEM. When I ask, what kind of innovation are you bringing to the mathematics classroom? What are you doing differently in the mathematics classroom? Lots of times it comes to, we've just rolled out a brand new curriculum. Okay, that's fantastic, but what kind of other innovations are you bringing into the actual classroom to teach and encourage an appreciation and a love of mathematics? And it's usually a shrug of shoulders and an acknowledgement of, yeah, you're right. We're kind of just doing the same old thing in that area. Well, I hate to say it, if you're not investing in the M in STEM, you're really lacking a STEM program. Because without the mathematics, it's going to be very difficult for those children who you want to go on into the STEM career fields. Again, going back to the earlier slide with the brick wall with math across it, they're going to hit that wall. And they're going to say, wow, this is great. It's awesome that my school's got these programs, but I don't have the math skills to do anything. So I'm going to go off and pursue something else. Now, what I'm not saying is that we need to have every single child going off and trying to pursue a career in STEM. We need to have historians. We need to have social workers. We need to have all kinds of people going into other fields. But what's really important is that every child has a strong foundation in numeracy skills, literacy skills, and scientific reasoning. And so those are the core components of having a strong foundation in a person's overall life and ultimately, earning potential down the road. So what we have, in our opinion, is a mathematics education crisis. Some of it is related to a few points, which I'll highlight here. Number one, teachers are generalists. At Matific, we work specifically with primary school age children and teachers. So at the primary school level, most of the teachers were specialized in being teachers. They did not specialize in mathematics pedagogy at the primary school level and understand the proper ways of teaching particular skills. They were specialized in teaching or being teachers for lots of different subjects. What this leads to is many teachers just teach procedures. And it's this teaching of procedures, which is, 2 + 2 = 4, and just lots of these procedural way of doing things, is that what's lacking is teachers doing the conceptual understanding. And it's behind having a conceptual understanding is what leads to a positive attitude towards the subject and this not having intimidation or fear of the subject. So for those of you at the very beginning, when I say I'm talking about your most favorite subject when you're in school, mathematics, many of you laugh, but some of you said, yes, that's me. It's because you knew the conceptual understanding of what was happening behind the scenes, and that was critical to your passion and love for the subject. What happens when these things take place? Maths anxiety occurs. Maths anxiety is one of the things that ultimately turns kids off. They start to become afraid of the subject. They, when you just start putting problems on the board, they get really scared and they get just this fear of the subject. And that's what, again, keeps students from going into STEM. Current way of doing maths is kids doing lots and lots of word problems. That's great. They do lots of worksheets. Where are they doing worksheets? They're doing worksheets at school. They're doing worksheets at home. Their parents are buying them workbooks and full of worksheets to do. Their grandparents are buying them workbooks and worksheets to do. These are the procedural things. And we have an outcome like this. Not for every student, but a majority of students start to have this reaction after a while. Now, there is the opportunity to leverage technology, but when you look closely at a lot of the programs that are out available, most programs have just put the worksheets onto a computer. Nothing's changed. You're not actually taking advantage of what the technology is capable of doing, which I'll show you here in a second. And so what the computer-based worksheets do is now you've just created computer-based maths phobia, which is even more scary for kids because when I do a worksheet, a paper worksheet, and I finish that worksheet, the worksheet's done. But when you're doing it on a computer, what happens? The computer can just keep giving you more and more and more and more and more, and the worksheet never ends. And so you really get this fear and anxiety amongst the students even more rapidly. Our philosophy at Matific is quite different. It's basically harnessing what technology and what the computers are able to do and making it really fun and engaging and dynamic. And so our program is an adaptive game-based learning program made up of thousands of activities that are built upon 10 key pedagogical principles. Everything we do is founded amongst these principles. Learning by doing, using manipulatives. Instead of having students just choosing shapes on a worksheet, we're actually having them build and construct shapes using virtual labs. Teaching skip counting through this really fun, dynamic game that gets them motivated and excited to continue to learn. Using different ways of teaching the conceptual understanding for skills. So Matific is made up of thousands of activities that are at the primary school level that are all oriented and aligned to the nation's curriculum. Teachers use the program in class, students use the program at home and at school, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. So another quote from the same report that I mentioned earlier: Africa's educators should begin by encouraging critical thinking, creativity, cognitive flexibility, and emotional intelligence, as opposed to rote learning worksheets to match the way that people will increasingly work and collaborate in the fourth industrial revolution. And we at Matific very much are in alignment with this type of philosophy and this statement that we just see here on the screen. It's really important that these learning resources, no matter what they are accessible to everybody, anytime, any place. That's part of the reason why our program is available on any device and on mobiles, mobile phones, tablets. It also works in an offline capability as well. So for countries or regions within countries that have really low connectivity and issues with this, Matific is the perfect solution for that because you do not require a data connection in order to use the program all the time. So Matific, we work with ministries practically on every single continent. We've got thousands, millions of students, thousands of schools, hundreds of thousands of teachers. I just want to contrast two examples, two different countries. First country is Estonia. And Estonia is a small country in the northern part of Europe. It's the 5th ranked country in the world, according to the last PISA rankings. We just started working with the Ministry of Education in Estonia, and within the last couple of months, 50% of the schools in Estonia are now using Matific. So why would Estonia use a program like us? They're already doing so well at maths. What are they going to get out of Matific? Well, what they're trying to do is get away from the rote learning that they've been doing before, getting more to critical thinking, experimentation, learning by doing, building those cognitive abilities, and actually also changing the attitudes of the students. Even though their students do so well at maths, they're actually pretty afraid of it, and it's pretty stressful, and they do well at it because they're taught well, but it's nothing that they're really passionate about. So they're also using Matific to make it something fun and engaging. The other country that I'd like to contrast Estonia with is here in Ghana. So we began working with the Ghana Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service earlier this year, starting with this academic school year. And already we have about 350 of the government schools currently using Matific. And I'd like to actually invite one of my special guests, Letitia, onto the stage. She's going to help me with the last part of our discussion.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Letitia, for joining me. So Letitia School started using Matific how long ago?
About a month.
About a month ago. Okay, so it's only been a month that her school's been using, and she'll share some of her findings, some what she's learned about Matific so far. Actually, before I go to this slide, tell the group a little bit about your experiences with just mathematics in general.
Okay. I hated maths. It was the most difficult subject ever. Indeed, my friends and I always prayed that a math teacher wouldn't show up in class. And when he did, we prayed he forgets to give us homework. I feared math so much to the point where if you asked me to choose between doing my math homework or skipping my math homework and being punished, I would choose skipping my math homework and being punished instead of going through the pain of doing maths. This is a common problem. Almost every child feels maths is very difficult and boring. Indeed, that used to be my testimony until the Ministry of Education introduced Matific in my school. Matific is an application that makes the teaching and learning of maths very easy and exciting. My mother is so happy that she no longer has to chase me around the house to do my maths homework because that is no more intimidating. I love playing computer and mobile phone games. Every child does. I never get tired of playing Candy Crush, Zuma, or Monster Invasion. This is what makes Matific an excellent app. Every math activity appears in the form of a fun game. I actually feel like I'm playing a game when using Matific, but I'll be solving actual math problems. Because of Matific, I know, because of Matific, Matific has made a math simple and easier for every child to use. I know I have a strong foundation in math to become an economist, mathematician, or software engineer to help Ghana, my motherland. I am confident that in future I'll pursue a career in the STEM field. My name is Lekwenda Letitia Nadede Afote Ajin, and I believe every child should use Matific.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to ask you a few more questions as we go. So Matific, look, like I mentioned earlier, it can be used on any device, anytime, anywhere, any place. So how have you been using Matific the most? On what? What have you been using it on?
I've been using it on my mobile phone.
Whose phone?
My mom's.
Your mom's. And how often does she let you use it?
Anytime I want it, I can come for it.
And about how many minutes are you playing Matific each week, you think, over the last month?
5 hours.
5 hours?
Yes,
Okay.
in a week.
And that's 5 more hours of doing math than you otherwise would have been doing, right? So I think one of the things that we've seen just in a short period of time is, half of the students that are using Matific are using it on mobile devices, their parents' device or family member's device. They're finding it. And we see that all around the world. We've been visiting schools. Our team, we have a great team based here in Ghana, across the country. They've been visiting schools and actually running the students through the computer lab, the ICT labs, and actually getting the students to play Matific in the labs, and then actually sending home the children with a letter to the parents to say, we have access to this great program. Here's how you download it onto your phone, and this is how your child can benefit. And so over time, we'll start to do more training with the teachers so that they're able to understand how to use the ICT lab as a teaching resource. And we do have some schools already of the 350 that are doing that. But just like any country, there's lots of different constraints and different things like that. We were just visiting a couple of schools yesterday on Monday where many of the computers just weren't working properly. That's okay, because the students are still able to go home and be able to access Matific anywhere. Now, when you play Matific, are you doing activities that the teacher assigned, or are you just playing the activities that are in the full course?
I play activities that are full course. I sometimes don't pay attention in class when a teacher is in class, but when I get home, I understand what he taught us in class.
Yeah, and you liked playing the full, and what was the game that you told me that you liked the most?
Order of operations.
The order of operations. Like, I couldn't believe that she's told me that her favorite game was the games around order of operations, which is actually like very scary. I still remember learning that. So it's fantastic. Now, because we haven't done a whole lot of training with the teachers just yet, some of them we've been able to, and some of them are able to use the program at school and assign activities for the kids to do. 70% of all the usage so far in Ghana has been, like Letitia, doing activities that are in the program that are aligned to the curriculum at her grade level, and that's been organized in such a way that makes sense for her to be able to follow. So it's not relying on the teachers to be able for her to benefit. In just this short amount of time, now we do have like a limited amount of data here, but what we've been seeing is that the students play these activities more than once. They play them repeatedly on the same skills. And what we've been finding is that the students who play an activity a second time or a third time are showing good improvement. So across each of the years, we're showing about 30% improvement from their first attempt versus their final or versus their best attempt. And so in just a short amount of time, we've been able to raise the understanding of math that they're practicing. And I'll leave Letitia to finish our talk with this slide.
If you teach today, as we taught yesterday, we rob our children of tomorrow.
So thank you very much. I appreciate your attention. We'll take your questions. Very good.
Okay, don't go away. Please, any comments or
Letitia,
questions?
just Letitia, just in case
No,
someone
just
asks you
in
a
case.
question.
Good. Please, one. Microphone here. Okay. Now will be more difficult. More questions and comments. Okay. Sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Amon Murwira. I'm a professor, but I'm the Minister of Higher and Tertiary Education, Innovation, Science and Technology Development in Zimbabwe. I like your presentation. It's a nice information commercial.
Thank you.
Very good information. Why? Because you are tackling a very important philosophical problem, which is not only African, worldwide. It might be worse here because of the fact that we have a complicated history. But the simple matter is, most of the time, there is no subject on earth that should be difficult. Subjects are difficult because they are being taught by people who don't understand them. And at the end of the day, when information is passed from a person who doesn't understand the noise to signal ratio, you know what I mean? It gets worse. So the most complicated problem has always been with mathematics. Because people have been schooling people in mathematics, not educating them. So they are schooling, they are just saying, solve for this. They don't know why they are solving for it. And at the end of the day, it becomes a senseless adventure.
Right.
And then we have less people who are useful for our future. So this kind of approach to mathematics where logic and emotional intelligence and reasoning is used first before you say solve for X, I think it's a very important one. I just thought it was very important that I say this comment.
Thank you.
It has got particular application, for example, in Africa. Why am I saying that? Because in colonial education, it was a stick you have your head broken for not saying something in a certain way. So it's even worse. It's scary, and the stick, and the lack of logic in the whole thing, but then you have to solve for X.
Yeah.
That's exactly why we have low numbers. So my comment is basically saying that you are in the right area, and I'm sure I can be quoted, you will make progress. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comment? No.
I agree 100%.
There is another. Oh, okay. Over there, please. Another microphone. Over
Yes,
there.
I think I have the mic.
Yes, please.
My name is Jacinta Katsa from the Center of Mathematics, Science and Technology in Kenya. I take this opportunity to really appreciate Leticia for her love for math now, and also for Matific for an excellent presentation. We are very keen on STEM. We also our core business is actually professional development of teachers. And I think I want to support the professor when he says that sometimes it is teachers that don't get it right. And I just got maybe a concern, and I'd like to encourage that even as you work with the kids, don't leave the teachers behind. Because then the teacher gets ahead of the student gets ahead of the teacher at some point, and you still need the teacher. So I would have thought that probably you'd also have brought in and roped in the teachers with the same program, because most of the time their biggest challenge is both content and pedagogy. So if you can work on that, I think you have a winning combination. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I can just make a comment.
Yeah, please.
A comment
You can
about
comment.
that. Yes. So we definitely have a strong feeling about supporting the teachers, and also inside the program, there's basically two different platforms that talk to each other. One is very much oriented around the students, which I showed some visuals of. There's also a teacher platform. That teacher platform has all of the activities browsable so that they can assign them that's related to what they're teaching that particular week. So we find globally that teachers log into the platform about 3 times per week. They're usually logging in to assign some activities. They might log in once during the week to use it as a teaching tool, and they might log in once more to look at the reports to see how their children have done based upon the activities that they've assigned. Now, we at Matific are very passionate around also supporting them with good resources. So inside the program, if I'm a teacher and I choose one of our activities for subtraction from 20, there's actually teacher guides that actually show them the best practices and best ways of teaching subtraction from 20, not only using our program, but also maybe bringing in some objects into the class as manipulatives to help support them in that way. And so we have hundreds and hundreds of those activities that cover most of the key skills across the grade levels in primary school. And our teams tend to also like to spend time training the teachers, doing workshops. Since we've just got started here in Ghana, we haven't had the ability to really assemble them to do that just yet. But in many other countries, that's a part of the whole process, and it just takes time. It takes time to do that. So thank you. That's a good point that you make.
Thank you. Please. Gentlemen.
Bien, merci. Je ne parle pas anglais, mais je vais parler.
Il y a traduction, je crois.
Et je crois que le premier intervenant qui avait un badge au cou a pris en considération.
Seulement un minute, s'il vous plaît, pour la traduction.
Oui, je peux continuer?
Oui.
Bien. Donc, je disais que monsieur le professeur a présenté un problème d'aspect un peu mondial. Moi, je suis un enseignant au niveau de l'université. J'enseigne les statistiques et plus particulièrement les mathématiques statistiques. Alors, je voudrais poser quelques questions seulement afin que le Matific que je viens de découvrir existe depuis combien de temps? Et je sais que la plupart des ouvrages en mathématiques sont en anglais. C'est ce que nous nous sommes évertués à utiliser. Est-ce que déjà Matific au Ghana s'exerce déjà dans d'autres pays francophones en l'occurrence? Voilà mes 2 premières questions en attendant que je puisse l'attraper dans le panel pour lui poser plus de questions. Je vous remercie.
Merci. There is one more question, then we join the 2 because you have only 2 minutes, okay? One question here more, or comment, and then we finish. There is no more time, sorry.
Mine is not a question. I'm very curious to know about this very articulate young girl. Which grade is she? Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't get that.
I didn't.
Oh, great. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So to answer the earlier gentleman's question, so Matific, we've been helping children learn mathematics around the world for the past 7 years. And I mentioned on my slide that Matific is available, currently being used in 50 countries, and it's already in 40 different languages. And so in the case of Estonia, we've localized it. It's in Estonian. The entire user experience, the content, the platform, everything is in Estonian, and it's mapped to their curriculum. We have it in French. I mean, you can go down the line of languages. We also do it in local languages. So in India, we have it in Marathi. We have it in Tamil. We're working on it in Kannada. We have it in Hindi. And so we've got it in many, local languages as well. And so we can do lots of different things with the platform. And so it's not just limited to only English or maybe main languages. We can do it in many.
Thank you. Great. Unfortunately, we have no more time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. It seems then everybody enjoyed it very much. Okay. Thank you.